Hi friends! Welcome to week 4, workout number 8 of 8 weeks to strong and calm. Today's workout is a repeat of the second exercise that we saw in week 2, focusing on the upper body. I'm going to move through some different warm-ups than we went in during that first workout, but then the exercises will be basically the same. I'll offer you a few additional modifications. Let's go ahead and get started. You will need today for this variation, go ahead and have some type of either thick rolled up towel or what I have is a little water bottle surrounded by a towel. So when we do our internal and external rotation exercises today, whether we're doing them with a dumbbell on our side or whether we're doing them with the resistance band, we're going to aim for about a 30-degree angle of the elbow from the side of the body. So we did talk about how it can be nice to have something to squeeze into here. As we do our internal and external rotation today, I'm going to ask you to take that elbow out just a little bit further so it's about 30 degrees. What that does is it relaxes our supraspinatus muscle and some of the deltoid muscles so that we can focus a little bit more on those rotator cuff muscles. So anything that you can grab will work there. I have a resistance band. If you don't have a resistance band, we can do these exercises with a dumbbell or with an external weight of some kind. If these are brand new to you or you're doing some shoulder rehab, you can always do these exercises with body weight and add on as you need. To warm up the shoulders, we're gonna start with these arm raises. It can be nice if you have an empty wall available to you to just stand up against the wall, take your hands like this, and then slide them up as much as you can. I'm gonna do 10 of these. 9, trying to relax the neck and the shoulders. 8, 7, I'm trying to keep my arms in line with my ears as much as I can. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And I'm going to do these little body weight bicep curls. So one at a time. As I go out, I'm turning the palm out lightly and I'm squeezing my arm. So I'm going to do about 10 of these. 6. You can be standing, seated, kneeling. 4, 3. You could do these on one leg. 2, 2, 1. Then I'm gonna practice with some punches. 2, 3, 3, 4, 5, 5, 6, 6, 7, 7, 8, 8, 9, 10. And punch up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You can do some hooks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Cool. Do some shoulder rolls here. Switch directions. Then we're gonna come down to all fours and do some cat and cows. And then inhale, lift the heart, spread the chest, lift the tailbone. As you exhale, round the back. Do about 5 rounds here. Matching the movement with the breath as best you can. Pushing the ground away from you, finding traction in the spine as you lift the heart. And I'm going to come into down dog. If you don't want to come into down dog, feel free to come into child's pose or puppy pose by walking the hands forward. Forearms are also an option here if your wrists are sensitive. And then rounding forward towards a plank or to all fours, finding that shoulder stability, pushing into the upper back. And then exhale, shift back into down dog or plank, dolphin, or and we'll do 5 rounds back and forth. And hold plank, either high plank, forearm plank, or plank on the knees. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Awesome. We're going to come into a twist. So step 1 foot forward. I've got my left foot forward. I'm going to plant my right hand and then peel my left hand up. So you can stay right here. You can also just keep this hand on the hip as you lean back or lift the back leg and add in a little bit more. I'm going to do that on each side. 3 rounds. And a block or a chair is also an option here. Just trying to get that rotation. Last one. So my body's feeling pretty warm. If you need to do any more warm-ups, feel free to take some time warming up your body until you feel better. As I mentioned before, you can also do your first round of the exercises as a continued warm-up round, meaning using body weight or very, very light weight, and then adding on as soon as you feel like your body is warm enough and prepared to add more load or resistance. The main part of our workout has 2 components. The first component has 4 exercises: our walkouts, external rotation, internal rotation, and our lateral raises. So for the walkouts, you can either do these from the knees or from standing. I'll demonstrate both, and we're gonna try for 10 total. So if we're doing these from standing, you have the option of reaching the hands up and overhead, option for a back bend if that feels good, and then folding over the legs, walking into a plank, and then past your plank. Okay. Then walking back, and coming all the way up to stand. Okay. Option to add the arms if you'd like there. We're doing them from the knees, and we can take out the feet and any issues we might have going on with the ankles, and we can walk the hands forward from here. And as far forward as we feel comfortable, and then walking back. Try to use control, trying to press through the palms of the hands to get that strength from the shoulders as we press back. And if you are having issues with your hands, it can be nice to take dumbbells with you once you come onto the ground. I forgot my other dumbbell, but if I had another dumbbell here, you can see how it would change the rotation of my hands. Might add in an extra weight, so you might not need to go back very far. And then walking back and forth with dumbbells or any type of grip in the hand there. So, you did the first ones with me, then you can choose to eliminate the last 2 or maybe push yourself to 12. the end of your shape, if you're noticing that one hand likes to go a little further, try and alternate which hand that is. Even ourselves up. 6. 7. Your body's feeling really fatigued. Feel free to take a break a little early. Or try a modification on the knees. Woo. And 10. High five. All right. First one done. Feel free to take a moment if you need a little break. Our next exercises will be the internal and external rotation. These can be combined if you're using a dumbbell. To distinguish between the internal and external, you want to notice where the resistance is coming from. So if I'm doing an external rotation, my resistance should come as I'm pulling the band out. And if I'm doing an internal rotation, my resistance should come as I'm pulling the weight or the band in. So if I decide to use a weight or a dumbbell, you can do these on your side. And today we're encouraging that 30-degree angle. So I've got my towel and band. And then here, so remember going out, external rotation. And then if I just drop it down and I focus on that, that pressing out, I can just focus on that external rotation. And then for the internal rotation, you're gonna imagine that you're pushing against something as you slowly lower down towards the belly button. So controlling the movement there. So you can combine them here and then a slow lower to work on the internal rotation. Or you can focus on the external, do that on both sides, and then come back to the same position and work on slowly lowering the inside down. So I will. That's that variation. If you've got a weight like this around, then you can just hold it in the hands, just like you would with the hands there. If you have a resistance band, you can do this exercise standing, seated, or on the ground. So seated on a chair or any other elevated position there. Depending on where you can wrap the resistance band around. It doesn't have to be at a 90-degree angle from the elbow. That's where I feel most comfortable. Just play with it around. I enjoy going to different higher and lower, trying to get different force patterns into the exercises at different points. So know that that is always an option for you. If we always train in one field, in one plane, we often don't realize how much more effort it takes when we ask effort at just a degree of difference. So here, I've got resistance bands tied into a knot, and I'm gonna position that in such a way that as I'm kneeling today, that it's more or less in line with my elbow there. Okay, if I was seated, I might take it up a little bit higher, and I might rotate myself around so that when I am pointed towards the anchor system, then I've got a full range of motion across the body here. So here, and water bottle and towel. Here. All right, internal and external rotation. Since I'm here, I'm going to start with internal rotation. If I wanted, I could take this over to this side. External rotation. External rotation is here, and internal rotation is on this side. We're going to start with internal rotation. I'm going to 12. If my resistance band is tighter or the weight that I have is heavier, feel free to stop sooner or feel free to go a little bit longer if you'd like to. Deep breath in. Exhale. 12. Try and keep your chest tall. 11. 10. 9. 8. 7. 6. 5. 4. 3. 2. Cool. I want to do internal rotation on the other side now, which means I need to orient myself so that I'm facing the opposite direction. I'm here. I'm doing my best to get my shoulder in line with the anchor point. And then as I'm here, finding my appropriate resistance for this side of my body. Keep squeezing that towel. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. External rotation. I'm going to start on my left side, just so you can see me. Oftentimes I prefer to do the same side to start with, but you can see me. So here we are. All right, external rotation now. Sitting up tall. External rotation. 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. All right. Turning around. Switch sides. External rotation, second side. And there's lots of ways that you can kneel. So you can have your lunge kneel like I did for that first round. Second side. 1, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Woo-hoo. All right, our last exercise is our lateral raise, focusing on the strength of the deltoid. So I'm going to stand up for this one. You can do this kneeling. You could do this kneeling. You want to make sure that that leg is out of your way. So up here. And if you're standing here, you can have both feet on the ground. This is pretty easy for you. You want to make it more challenging, try balancing on one leg. I'm going to use my bottom hand to create a new stable base. And then with my left hand, I'm going to go up and out. And I don't want to go as far as I possibly can. I'm going to just where I feel like the top of my shoulder is working, and then I'm lowering back down. So 12 here. Deep breath in. Exhale. Inhale. And then exhale to exert. 12. 11. 10. 9. 8. 7. 6. 5. 4. 3. 2. 1. Switching sides. Seven, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Woo. All right, first set of round one, done. Feel free to take a water break, and I'll see you in just a moment for round two. All right, hopefully you got some water, feeling good to go. Feel free to take about a minute between sets if your body needs more resting time. Continuing with our walkouts. Say 8 to 12. 1. 2. 3. 4. 5. And if you start to get fatigued, feel free to come down to your knees. So 6. 7. 8. Maybe more. 9. It should be challenging, but doable. 10. Woohoo! All right, internal and external rotation. I will demonstrate this time with the weight coming onto my side. You've seen how to do it with the resistance band. So pick your poison. External rotation, focusing on resistance out, away from the body. Switching sides. I like this version because then I can see you. Keep going, my friends. You're doing great. Got my about 30-degree angle there. 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Internal or external rotation, whichever one you haven't done yet. Now I'm focusing on resisting in. I'm going to use a little lighter weight. It's a little fatigued. So here is my starting point, and now I'm slowly resisting. Three, and if you lose your form, feel free to start end earlier. 2, woohoo! So I'm trying to get it back up to that that starting place as best as I can without feeling like I'm using strength to get there. Using a little bit of momentum to come to my starting point so that most of my energy here is on that internal rotation. Starting point. Just imagine you're pushing through molasses. To whatever position you're in, strong, stable core. You got this. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All right. Lateral raises. Here. We talked about how we can do this with the band. I'll demonstrate the edge of my seat with my dumbbell. 12. I can also stand. 11. Or to kneeling. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, switching sides. One, two, 3, 4, 5, straight out to the side. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Ooh, doesn't take a lot of weight to feel that at all, you know, and just even using your body weight and imagining that you're pushing against resistance can be quite powerful. So, high five. Round 2. Moving on, let's do one more round together. So, if you would like to skip this third round, feel free to fast forward to get to the second part of our main workout. And then I'll meet you when you're ready. Feel free to take a break. See you soon. Walk out. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Bonus rounds. 11. Whew. Woo! Yay! Internal and external rotation. Choose your poison. This also works quite well if you have a resistance band with handles, wrapping it around your surface. Sometimes they have a little thing that you can hook into a door, or you can loop it around and then create as many loops as you need to for the desired resistance. All right, here we are. Whew. External rotation. 12. 7, 6, 5, you got this. 4, 3, 2, 1. Woo! External rotation, switching sides. Now this. Up. 7, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, internal rotation. We're pulling in. Since I started on this side, I'm gonna start this second round on that side too. We've done it. Turn away from me. So here I go, starting out and then pulling in. Out, in. Imagine you're resisting throughout that whole range of motion. Seven, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Switching sides. Internal rotation. 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lateral raises. Another way to do this is to take one end and step on it, and then to work from here instead of using this other hand. So depending on the type of band that you're working with or the type of resistance that you're aiming for, this can be a fun variation. Here. 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, straight out to the side. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Awesome. Switching sides. Okay. 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. You got this. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Woohoo! Yeah! High five! Nice job. All right, moving on. Part 2 of the main part of our workout. We have 3 exercises. The high row, or sometimes called the wide elbow row. Our eccentric push-ups, so lowering down, helping ourselves back up to the top, lowering down. And then commandos, which are our high plank to low plank. The last time we did this set, I demonstrated a wide range of options for you for the high row. We can use bands, we can use resistance bands, we can use dumbbells, any kind of external weight. If this movement's really new to you, or you're rehabbing from a shoulder injury, just doing this body weight can be really beneficial. Thinking about squeezing that shoulder blade towards the spine. Maybe one arm or 2 arms at a time. So if you only have one resistance band, maybe it's not long enough to attach to something, you can always come down onto the ground, holding on here, and then high row in this position. The higher your hips are, the easier it's going to be, so I can make this more challenging by coming into more of a plank-like position. I can do this kneeling with one arm or with both arms, which is what I'm going to do with my handles. So with my handles here. I've got them tied around a surface, and it really doesn't matter if this one is up high or down low. You're just going to go so that as you pull, you have a straight line from the wrist to the elbow, pulling back. So if it's here, or if it's here, all of those can be variations of this high row. So work with what you got. Our eccentric push-ups are after that. So focusing on the lowering portion. I can do this from my knees, lowering, control, all the way down. And then I want to help myself get back up to the top. So I'm trying not to use the energy that I would normally use in a push-up to come back up. I'm trying to get up to the top and then slowly control down. Like we were doing for our internal rotations, just moving ourselves back up to the, that starting point before adding in that resistance down. If that is too challenging on the knees or on the toes here on the ground, we can elevate the upper body either with a few blocks or maybe a little bit higher. You can come into a plank to lower onto a surface, or maybe it's a tabletop, and then sometimes stepping forward and helping yourself back up to set up can be nice, or you can stay on the knees, lower down, and then help yourself back up to the top. And our commandos, I'll do those while I'm here. Commandos are our last ones. So they're high plank to low plank. So the easiest way to do that would be on an elevated surface on the knees. So I start here, both arms extended, pushing into my upper back. And then as controlled as I can, I'm gonna come onto my forearm and then my other forearm. Then that first forearm that came down, I'm gonna take that hand and push myself back to my high plank. And the other side. Okay, so for the commandos, we're going to do those for a minute. So you'll want to grab your timer, have that handy. For our eccentric push-ups, lowering down, we're going to try for 8 to 12. And then our high rows, we're going to try for 12 of those each time. Assume your position. So I'm kneeling for this round, but you can also stand, or you can stay seated on a chair if you'd like here. Just make sure the spine is long, the belly is drawing gently in, and then we take a deep breath in. Exhale, inhale, Prepare and exhale on the exertion. So 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. It's like my forearms are sliding across a table. 5. You want to be careful that your wrists don't bend too much at the end, at least in this variation. 4, 3, 2, 1. Coming into my slow push-up, lowering down. Deep breath in. Exhale. Good, inhale. And exhale to lower. Inhale, come back to the top. Exhale, lower. You can play with the position of the elbows. If your shoulders are really tired, having the elbows in a little bit closer might feel better. It might actually feel worse. You take your elbows out a little bit wider. Play around for you where you feel like you have control. Notice where you feel like you have instability. And then challenge yourself where you can. Seven, 8. Two more on my knees. 9. All right. And then commandos. I'm going to take just a moment for my shoulders. Grab your timer. One minute. Go. Left, right, left, right, right, left, right, left. You can take these fast. You can take these slow. Just make sure you're really trying to pull the hand far enough underneath your shoulder that it really uses the shoulder to help you up. You want your hips to lower with your chest as much as you're able to do. We got 20 more seconds. Seconds. And time. Feel free to take a water break. And then when you're ready, you can come back. If your body is telling you to stop after that first round, feel free to do so. Slowly build up your strength over time. And then if you'd like to join me for 2 more rounds, we'll go ahead and get started. Second round, high row. 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Nice. Eccentric push-up. 8 to 12. Help yourself back up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Another way to do it. 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Woo! Nice job. All right. Move my shoulders. A little break. All right. Commandos. Get your timer. Have it ready. 1 minute. And go. Right, left, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left, right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left, right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left, right, left, right, left, left, right. 10 more seconds. Left, right, right, left, right, left. 5, left, right, left, right. Woohoo! Yay! Second round complete. Feel free to end here. If you want to join me for the third round, feel free to take a water break. Feel free to take a rest. And when you're ready, I'll meet you for some high rows. High rows at round 3. 1, row, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Awesome. Push-ups. If these are getting harder, feel free to elevate yourself a little bit higher. Or if you're feeling like you have a little bit of energy, but this is your last round, then feel free to push yourself a little harder. All right. 8 to 12. Lower, 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 slow. Up your foot. Okay. 2. 3. 4. You got this. 5. Woo. bonus rounds. 9. And we go even slower. 10. Whew. Shave it up. All right. Prepare mentally. Commandos. Next. Set your timer. And right, left, right, left, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, left, right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. Good. Halfway. Ooh, last 15 seconds. You got this. 10 seconds. This is the end. Yes. Give yourself a hand. We're off. Whew. What a workout. For our finishers, coming into dead bug and the side plank. Dead bug can be done on our backs. This can also be done as a variation with extended tabletop. So coming here and here, or onto our backs. Here, pretending like we're in a tabletop position. And then opposite arm and leg. Inhale. Three, going to 12. 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, bring the knees in. I'm gonna have a side plank. So if your shoulders are shot, you don't have to do this next one. You can continue on with your stretching, or you can do another round or 2 of the dead bugs. For our side plank, you can come onto the forearm, the elbow right underneath the shoulder. If that's too intense for the shoulder, sometimes a little bit further away can be nice. Or, yeah. So modifications there with the arms, and then modifications with the legs. You can have the feet stacked, staggered, staggered front, staggered back. You can take that top leg and press it forward, lifting the hips from here. You can take your bottom leg, bending the knee, and coming into the modified plank here. You want to feel like it's the side of your body that's doing a lot of the work. This hand can reach up to the sky, it can come to the hip, or it can support you on the ground. Okay. Our goal on each of these sides is 30 seconds today. If you need to come in and out, feel free to do so. Got my timer set for 30 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Halfway there. 5 more seconds. 3, 2, 1, and lower. Switching sides. 30 seconds. You should also note if your hips are pushing way back in space, as best you can, and bring your hips forward, not so much that they're thrusting forward, but that there's a line relative from your shoulders to your hips down through that. Three, two, one. Oh, faster. It's good to have a timer. I never trust myself as much. I'm going to do one more round of both of the two of those. Feel free to do one more round or end it. Dead bugs. 12. Good brain exercise. 11. 10. The lower you get to the ground, the harder it is. 9. 8. You don't even have to go very far at all to feel this. 5. Exhale. 4. Side plank. Pick your poison. 3. And the position of your hand here can also change. It will change the angle of the shoulder. You want to feel which one feels most stable. As you're ready, if you feel like you want to add on here, you always can. And over halfway. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Switching sides. 3, 2, 1, and don't forget to breathe. You want to choose a position where you can still keep the muscles of your face relaxed as much as possible. No clenching the teeth. 10 more seconds. Observe your breath. And there. Awesome. All right. Good work, friends. Yeah. Now it's time for stretches. I'm going to start with pulling my arm across my body. Here, you can take this, grabbing onto the forearm of the opposite arm, or you can hug past the shoulder. There. I'm going to drop that right shoulder down if it's the right shoulder that's across the body. Sit up tall. You can easily do this standing or in a chair. Release. About 20 to 45 seconds here. I'm focusing on my breath. Trying to find a sense of ease in the stretch, flooding the area
with breath as much as I can. Still trying to stay in the moment. It's easy for the brain to start to wander away. Come back to the breath. And part of our weekly habits this week were to focus on the breath during all types of movement. So we talked about incorporating potentially the ujjayi breath, breathing in and out through the nose with a gentle constriction at the back of the throat. That can be a really nice thing to implement here. So if you'd like to try that, ujjayi breath. Tricep stretch. Reach the right hand alongside the ear, bend the elbow. And take the left hand to the elbow here. Relax where you can. The elbow doesn't need to be right over the shoulder if your shoulders are really tight and you're out here. Just anywhere that you start to feel a stretch. Meet yourself where you're at. Try not to force your body into any particular shape. You can always take these deeper with time. Switching sides. The chest stretch. Releasing the hands behind the back. And then gently bend the elbows. You could also do a chest stretch at the wall here if you'd like. Your wall. Or on the ground. This is what we did last the other week. To the side stretch. Sides. Here, you can take any twist that feels good to you. Feel free to adjust your body around or change the position of the legs. And the legs are going to one side, and the opposite arm is reaching in the other direction. You're trying to think here about the rib cage just dropping down towards the ground. So you might need to make yourself a little bit more comfortable here to give the body permission to settle into this shape. If you have the time, this can be a nice one to spend a few minutes on each side. And take your mind through the movements that we just did in our workout today, in our practice today. The arm can be straight, elbow can be bent. You can change the position of the elbow depending on where your arm needs to be to get a stretch through the top of the shoulder, top of the chest. And then when you're ready, you can come onto your back. If there's any other things you'd like to do, knees hugging in can be really nice here. Nice rock side to side to massage the mid-back. After your workout or your practice can also be a good idea to do some foam rolling if your body is calling for that. Appreciate the work that you've done before moving on to your next step. So I'm going to go and lay down in my Shavasana, and I look forward to seeing you really soon. Have a great rest of your week, friends. Bye.